Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to today's lesson. Today we're going to work with gradients. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's actually pretty easy if you know what you're doing. And hold on a second, I'm going to show you how our worksheet's going to look like. I think I'm going to rearrange these because they look a little weird. I'm just going to get them closer together. Okay, and this one should be, just give it a little bit more space. I know my artboards. Okay, there you go. We're looking a little strange there. And I'm going to go ahead and do a duplicate of this one. For your worksheet, you should just be able to have just the top artboards. You're not going to see any of the bottom ones. So follow with the video as close as you can. Okay, so gradients are basically a gradual change of color. So it's black to white, and there's going to be some gray in the middle. And then we're going to also introduce 3 colors. We're going to do radial. We're going to do a new type of tool that Adobe has introduced. So there's 2 ways you can mess around with that. It looks really cool. It's really useful once you know what to do with it. I really do enjoy that part. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so for the top one, we're just going to click here. To activate your gradient, you're going to have to go to your toolbar. And it's going to be right below here, your swatches. So I'm going to go ahead and click on gradient. And immediately you're going to see a window pop up. Sometimes it might not show up. So I'm going to go ahead and click through here. And then you can go to gradient options and it's going to show up again. There's multiple ways to access your gradient options. You can also go through your, your windows and you can click through here too. So it's going to show up in multiple ways. You're going to see, you can have the border, it's completely fine. You don't need to click the stroke out, so you can leave the stroke in. As long as you have a gradient, that's fine. Keep an eye on right here, so on type, it's going to be a linear gradient. So if the linear gradient is very much like this, like, like these ones right here on the top row, and also here. So anytime you see a line, I'm going to jump in through here. So you're going to see the lines right here, like a gradual change from top to bottom, left to right, corner to corner. That's going to be a linear gradient. A radial gradient, so it's going to look circular, like this one. And then this one, I think what it's called, freeform gradient. That's something new. That's the new one that I'm going to show you in a bit. Okay, so let's get the linear gradients in there. I'm going to go ahead and click, and I'm going to go ahead again to the toolbar and click on the gradient right here. In order to change it from top to bottom, you're going to have to go to here. I think it's 90. No, it's not 90. Yes, it is. It's 90. So right here under stroke, click right here on the angle and go ahead and click on 90. So this is from top to bottom. The next one, same thing. You can go here and click on the gradient. If you want, you can also select the eyedrop tool right here and then click on the last gradient. You already see the changes happening right here. This one is still 0%, but we're going to change it to -90. So it can come from bottom to top. The black is going to be on the bottom. The white is going to be on top. Okay. What you can also do when you select another square, you can press I on your keyboard. And then when you press I, you're going to get this toolbar again. You're going to get the eyedrop tool again. And with this one, you can again click on any of these. It doesn't really matter because you're going to change the angle of where your gradient's coming from. This one, I'm guessing, is going to be 60%. So let's go to gradient and click on 60. Okay. And this one, I think, let's go ahead and press I on the keyboard. Click on any of these. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to go to the angle, and I think it's -35. Yes. Okay, so it's -35. Let me just bring this up. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So again, just make sure you have these all in the correct angles. Don't forget to save. So I'm going to go ahead and save. And I named it as gradient assignment. Again, this file is going to be up in Canvas. So you should be able to just download the ones that are going to be on top. Okay, excuse me. All right, sorry, it's getting cold now, so I have to put the heater on. Okay, it's a lot of fun. All right, so we're gonna start a new gradient, and this one we're gonna have a similar gradient as the one on the corner. Let's choose this one. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click on the gradient on the toolbar. Select it. Now this is where it's gonna get fun. I'm gonna go ahead and click 60%. Or no, not 60%. Yes, okay, 60%. I'm not going to choose radial yet. I'm still going to be on linear, so up and down. And I'm going to change the colors. You can choose whatever color you want. It doesn't have to be these exact same colors. Just make sure they contrast a little bit more than this one. I think they're kind of similar, but it's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the little circle right here. So I'm going to show you again, double click. And if you don't see the colors right away, that's fine. You can always go to RGB or CMYK. I think RGB is really helpful. You can also select the ones on the swatches below the color palette right here. I'm going to go ahead and do dark purple. So just select your color. I'm going to double click on the white one, on the white circle right here. It's going to show the same thing. And let's pick, I don't think green's going to be really good. Huh. I know picking the color sometimes it's like the hardest part. Let's do some orange. Let's do some sunset. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click out of that. So now you have your gradient right here. So, but you want to add a third color in your gradient. So what do? You go to your gradient slider, and I'm just going to click right in the middle. So let me show you where to click exactly. Where it says it has a little arrow with a plus sign underneath, right underneath the gradient. Don't click on the middle, just right on the bottom right here and click. Double click and choose, I think, a more contrasting color. Let's do green. That one looks cool. It's very tropical. So now you have your gradient, 3 gradients. What you can do, I think you can always change it to a more vibrant. There you go. And what if you want to make this one more prominent and this one, you're going to move it closer to the bottom? What you can do is go to your sliders right here on the very top, these little diamonds. I'm going to go ahead and click and slide it down so you can see in real time it being pushed to the very corner. You can do the same thing here. You can also move the colors. There you go. You're going to create more distance. I'm going to push orange a little closer to the corner. And you can also make one, create a nice, neat line. It's going to be, I know, sometimes you just accidentally create a new one. So here you go. So the closer they are, the less of a gradient you're going to create. They're further away. So like the green and the purple, or the navy blue. I think it's blue, yes. So the navy blue and the green, they're going to show more of a gradient. It's going to be more noticeable. The closer they are, it's going to show you almost a crisper line. So again, you can play around with that. You don't have to make it look like mine. You can choose whatever color you want. You can make one look like this. You can make one look like this. It's completely fine. Okay, now we're going to move on to radial. I'm going to go ahead and keep the same color scheme. So a lot of times it's going to show up on your toolbar. You can go ahead and click on that. It's usually the previous one that you used. So remember, it used to be gray until we added color. Now we changed the same, we have the same one. Also, you can flip your colors. If you go right here, go to the bottom and go to the reverse gradients, and you can flip them around however you want. It's really nice. I really do enjoy using gradients, but you have to be really careful, especially if you're a beginner. You can abuse them or overuse them, I mean. So yeah. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna create a radial, and I'm gonna go to your gradient toolbar and make sure you click on radial. So it's right in between these two, and there you go. Again, you can always flip them around. I think that looks better. It looks more like a sun. And yeah, you can also add multiple colors if you want. You want to add a yellow, so I'm going to go ahead and double click and add a yellow just to make it look more psychedelic. It's kind of creepy, but yeah, I really do enjoy it. All right, so I'm going to click out and select the next one. And again, I'm going to go to the toolbar. I'm going to go all the way down and click on the previous gradient that we've used. Also, I'm pretty sure you can add these to, let's see, so if you want to add one to your, your swatches, you can totally do that by just clicking, like you can click right here and then add it to your swatches. This should work. Oh, it's not working right now then. Let's see, new gradient swatch. There you go. That's way better. So go ahead and click on the plus sign. New swatch, new gradient swatch, and I'm going to go ahead and name it tropical. It used to work, but I guess it doesn't do that anymore. Okay, and then it's going to move it to right here. You can add a folder if you want. So I'm going to go add a folder, gradient, and it added all the colors that I used. I'm going to go ahead and delete them. I don't want them in there. I just want my gradients. And you can always move your, oh, it doesn't work anymore, I guess. Let's see if it works. Let's try again. If not, that's fine. I think what you can do is just click on the folder. It doesn't do that anymore. Okay, that's the feature that is not coming back. All right, so I guess you can just have it right here. Make sure you don't have too much going on in this one. And also, you do have more gradients. There's some already that are there you can select already. So you can select a pinker one, the bluer one. You can do a radial one. Here's one that has a lowered opacity, and now we'll get to that in a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the pink one. Let's do blue actually. Blue's a lot nicer. And let's observe. This one has 4 colors. It's very, very gradual. You can take the colors away by clicking on one and bringing it down. So all I have to do is click and drag it down. So just hold on to it and then bring it out of your sliding bar. It's really helpful. And again, you could always add and then change the color. And remember, whenever you add a color, you're going to have to know that whatever the color is going to be on top of your circle, that's the color it's going to pick. So this one's going to be right in between this one and this one. And then this one's going to be a different color. So it's the same color. But again, you could always adjust it however you want. I'm going to go ahead and mess around with that. Okay, so I did get sidetracked a little bit here. That's completely fine. Sometimes I forget to give you guys some extra information, because when I planned it, I just had it already in my head, but I was just worrying about this stuff. All right, so let's go back to radial. So I'm going to click on radial again, and let's do the blue one. And I'm going to add a different color. Let's go for like a pinky purple. Oh, I like the green. Okay, that's pretty. Okay, so I'm going to add this color. Interesting thing is you can write where it says type, where your radial and your linear gradient and also your freeform gradient, you can click on edit gradient, and immediately you're going to have a a bar right here. You're going to see some interesting things happening, and I'm going to zoom in so I can show you. Okay. I'm going to move around here. If I had a bigger monitor, I think I could zoom in really crazy close, but I think this is fine. Okay, I'm going to go to Edit Gradient again, and you're going to see a bar, and it's going to show you the slider, the same slider that you see here. And you're going to see a circle. So this circle is surrounding the last gradient you see. So it's going to be surrounding the blue one. And be really careful with this one because it's kind of hard to select certain things. Sometimes I have that issue. So it's always really helpful to hover on the black bar until you see the little white square below your cursor, your black cursor. I'm going to go ahead and click, and I'm going to drag this out. So click and drag, and you can change the size of your gradient. You can bring it in if you want for a smaller dot. You can change the size. You can also rotate, so you can rotate it. You can grab one of these. These act like anchor points. So I'm going to go ahead and click, and there you go. So you can click here, you can click here, you can click on this one. This one's going to be the one that's going to transform your circle. So you can bring it in and create an oval. I'm going to go ahead and rotate. And I created a galaxy. I'm going to go ahead and bring it in again. So these two corners act very similar. And this one is going to help you rotate or change your circle. So this is really helpful, especially if you're doing some interesting things like galaxies or highlights. I really do enjoy this one a lot. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Next one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to select this, select your square, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the same gradient. And notice it's exactly the same as it was before without the changes. But again, that's fine. We don't have to worry about that right now. And we're going to do, from what I remember, okay, so now we're going to do freeform and then freeform line. So freeform is the one right next to the radial gradient. I'm going to go ahead and click. And this one has 4 corners. And if you notice, it's very similar to our gradient tool. And again, you can find the gradient tool here or whenever it shows up to, what's it called again? Edit gradient. There you go. So I'm going to go ahead and click on edit gradient. And yeah, you can do very similar things. You can click and drag it around. It's very, flexible. I do enjoy this a lot. The only thing I wish is I can push this further out or have it come out here and still show some gradient, but because it feels a little too strong for me, but hopefully Adobe will change that in the future. Okay, so actually I do like this color combination, and you can always add another one just by clicking anywhere. And I'm going to go and put it in the middle, double click on the circle, and then I'm going to make it red. So it's a little spooky. I like that neon green. Makes it spookier. Okay. I don't know. Okay, so so you can do that too. It's pretty interesting. I do like this a lot. Again, if you want to mess around with it, select and then click on edit gradient, and you're able to change certain things. So here and here. Have fun with this. Again, you guys are free to experiment with all of these. Just make sure you use the same tools that I did. Okay, this one's going to be a linear freeform. I'm going to go ahead and click and select whatever gradient I see through here. And unless if you want the same one, let's go ahead and click on the eye or select the eyedrop tool on your toolbar, or you can press I on your keyboard. So I'm going to press I and select, and it's going to copy the same one. I'm going to edit gradient. Instead of points, I'm going to select lines. Lines is really interesting, and actually I'm going to go ahead and delete them. So hold on, let me trash them out. So if you want to get rid of some of them, you're going to have to delete stop. I'm going to go ahead and click. Okay. With lines, you pretty much click on one circle, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so you click on one circle, and then you create lines. It works a lot like the curvature tool. So I'm going to draw sort of like a snake shape or a little S. And notice how each one, oops, let me go ahead and edit gradient again. Okay, so notice how each one has the same color. You can double click and just change it to whatever you want. Okay, this one, I'm just going to go completely crazy. Honestly, don't care how it looks like because I just want to show you how to change it. Let's go black. Let's do black. And it's hard to see what's happening on the bottom because you can't really move it around. And I'm going to keep this one pink again. Let's do purple. I'm going to do almost all the colors because I feel like it. I'm going to do white on this side, I think. I'm just picking whatever color I feel like choosing. I don't really care too much about what color I want. And I want to get rid of this one. Hopefully I can get rid of it. I don't think I can. Let's try it out. Okay, yes. You just have to deselect and select. And then click on the trash can and it's going to get rid of that dot. So you're going to have some interesting shapes. You can also move the snake around by clicking the dot. It works the same as an anchor point. Click and drag all over your square. It looks like a lot of fun. And again, you are free to add more. So you can click on the last dot and it's going to immediately create a line. Oh, I'm going to get rid of this. Sometimes you're going to have to press, just double click once usually. Okay, there you go. I'm going to double click and then create another one or just press Control Z. Okay, and then let's do this one. Okay, and just change the coloring to a more vibrant color. There you go. You don't have the same freedom as your, points gradients or your freeform points because it doesn't have much of any option for you to make this gradient a little bit wider. That circle we used on this one. So it's just the S shape. You change the colors and you're good to go. Okay, so now we finished this section and we created our gradients. You are free to add, take away, and experiment with your gradients and your colors. Okay, so for this one, we're just going to create a simple radial gradient and make sure it looks kind of like a ball. Make it more look realistic. We can't make it look extremely realistic until next lesson. We're going to do a mesh tool type of situation where it looks more realistic. There's more form to it, but basics first. Okay, okay, it didn't freeze. Don't forget to save. Okay, and I know I didn't do this one. I think I accidentally deleted it, but that's okay. I already know what I'm doing, so that's fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, select the circle. I'm going to go press I and then click on one of the gradients. For your gradient, it's going to go to radial gradient immediately, and we're going to go to edit gradient. Okay, and now we're going to go and make sure it's on the little cursor. The cursor is going to move it around. The little hand is not going to move anything around, only the slider. So I'm going to go ahead and shine it here, and I'm going to add another one. And let's make it a little bit interesting, a little bit neater, so I can have some more control with the sphere. Okay, so now we have the sphere, and I'm going to add another one. So I want to see 4. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's like, let's do the whitest white. Actually, this one should be the whitest white, and this one should be a little bit less. There you go. So it's a very, very gradual change. If you want a sharper highlight, again, select, edit gradient, and then just make sure you move them a little bit closer. Oh, the white keeps moving wherever it wants. So you want a sharper highlight, you can do that too. So it's going to look a little bit shinier, and you're going to have these two colors, the light gray and the white, closer together, and everything else should be far apart. You have control. Well, I didn't do that. Okay, make sure it's selected, and then you have control to how you want your sphere to look like. But I think this looks fine. Very normal. All right, now we're going to have to do this one. This one, I'm going to go ahead and click on the sphere color. I'm going to get rid of all the white colors and make sure this one is transparent. So I'm going to click on the gray and then go to opacity. So opacity, remember it is transparent. So anytime you change the opacity, you're changing the transparency. I'm going to go ahead and click on 0, and you can see that it's transparent because it's see-through right here. And then this one is going to be, it's going to be more opaque. So remember, opacity, opaque, like tights, right? So I'm going to go ahead and flip them around, and just to see how it looks like, I liked it better the other way. And I'm going to make it linear. Okay, now I'm going to flip them around. There you go. That looks more natural. So this looks more like 3D, a very basic gradient, but it also adds a little bit more pop to it, right? So there you go. It looks great. So make sure it looks like this, just to have a gradual shadow. It's going to create a nice little shadow here. And that's how it should look like. If you want a core shadow, that's something that you're going to have to learn how to do next assignment. I think I already mentioned that before. But yeah, we're just doing the basics here. Okay, so we're going to do freeform gradients on this one. And I'm going to go ahead and save so I don't want to forget. And now we're going to go mess around with the freeform gradient. And we're also going to add a little bit of layering. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one right here and make sure you just have any gradient selected. Okay, and let's do a different color. And make sure they're all solid too. So let's just pick a color. I'm going to go for a blue, and this one's going to be the same blue. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the same blue. Noticed how I just like push this one a little bit closer to the middle and then click to make sure I got the same color. And I'm going to get rid of the white. Okay, I'm going to have let's choose a teal. There you go, just to make it look more dynamic and very pretty. So this should be the bend of the ribbon. Makes it look more 3D. If you want to add a darker blue or another color on the very ends, be my guest. Okay. I'm going to deselect. Now I'm going to do the same for this one. Let's do okay, and this one. All right, so it looks like it's popping out. It's really beautiful, actually, and I do want these to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to go ahead and actually get rid of one. Okay, and then flip them around. Let's see. I'm not sure where I want this to be, so maybe yes. This one should be a little bit darker. So, all right. Going to the palette just to move the sliders around. There you go. I want to add a little bit more black, so let's do CMYK. Again, you're free to experiment. You don't have to copy me exactly. There you go, just to add a little bit more oomph. I'm going to press copy this and then flip it around, just so the dark side can come out from the middle. Okay, so just remember what I did. I just selected and then press I for eyedrop on the keyboard and then clicked. And then I did a switcheroo right here on the gradient and then reverse gradient. And again, you can keep it the same as this one if you want to. You don't really have to do all the changes. It's just an option for you guys. You don't have to do this. Okay, as for the bottom section right here, I'm going to keep it one color. I don't really want to mess around with it too much because it can add some problems. So I'm going to go ahead and click. And let's do, you know what, actually, yes, let's keep it one color so it can be like a more matte. It's a lot darker. It shows a little bit more depth. But you're free to add a gradient. But for me, I'd rather keep it very simple. I don't want to mess around with smaller shapes and gradients because it just looks a little odd for me. But if you want to add a gradient, feel free to do so. And I'm going to make it a little bit darker so I won't run into any problems. I'm going to pick one middle color and then I'm going to get rid of the lightest one. So it can show a very slight gradient. So you're going to have, it won't be too noticeable. I don't like to do small details like that with gradients because it just doesn't make sense to me. It's harder to see any kind of details like that, but if you want to, feel free to do so. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and save. Okay, if you want to be a little bit more dynamic, add like some oranges, add some highlights, you can go ahead and select your top shape, go to edit, copy, and then don't paste in place yet. What I want you to do is go to your layers. Okay, you're going to see I have a lot of different layers for this one. I'm going to go to the top layer. If you don't see any layers, if it's just like one layer, this one, for example, you're fine. You can go ahead and add one. So go to the bottom. It says create new layer. It's right between the trash can and the create new sub layer. But if you see a bunch of layers, just go to the very top one and then click plus. So make sure you have like a layer 6 or something. It should be on the very top. Select. Make sure this circle is selected. Make sure this bar is blue. Now you're going to paste in place. So edit and paste in place. So now you have a layer. Yay. All right. And you can see that it changed a little bit. This is the toggle visibility, and it's going to toggle how things are going to look. So you can make it invisible by clicking on the eyeball. You can make it appear again by clicking on the eyeball. Okay, now we're going to go and do freeform. Okay, points. Oh, we forgot to select it. There you go. Let's make sure it's selected. Edit gradient. And let's do points. And I think it's making us do it on our own. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yes. Okay, so it's going to make us do more freeform. There you go. Sometimes it gets a while to get there, so I'm going to go ahead and undo a bunch of this. Okay, make sure it's selected. That was a lot of fun. Edit gradient. Okay, points. And it's not letting me do it for some reason. Okay, there you go. Okay, I guess you have to go click gradient and then freeform. There you go. So now you have freeform. Okay, so make sure you click on gradient first and then freeform. If it's not showing up for you, that's completely fine. This is something a little extra you can do. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and change some of the dots. And I'm going to select, make this sort of blue too. And this one's kind of grungy, so I'm going to go ahead and pick like a nice pinky color, something that matches more, or purple is good. I think purple would be fine. And this one is, yes, I'm going to lower the opacity just so we can have it a little bit more transparent. So I'm going to go number 10, or maybe bring, yes, there you go, make it a little bit lighter, soften it up a little bit more. You can always change however you want. And this color is very nice. I do enjoy this one. I'm going to go ahead and copy the color. So a good way to copy the color, Again, you don't have to do this. This is just for people who want to do a little bit more extra. I'm just going to go to double click on fill. There's going to be a number right on the bottom. Right click and press copy. Press OK. And let's do another corner right here. Double click and click on here. Oh, it's not working. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and double click here. Yes, there. Okay, and what you're going to do is delete this and then paste. So right click and then paste. And you're going to have the same purple color that you had here. So this is a good way to copy the same color. You can always add it as a swatch. It really does depend on what you want to do at that time. Okay, so I just added a little bit more dynamic colors. I want to make these a little bit more transparent, so I'm going to go ahead and click on 30 opacity. So remember, you click on each one to change the opacity. So 30, click, opacity, 20 or 30. I think 30 was fine. Just to add a little bit more dynamic. It looks a lot nicer. But again, you don't have to do this part. Like once we get up to the layers, you don't have to do that. You can keep it like this, or you can add a little bit more spice to it. That's completely fine. You can add some yellows, some blues, some whatever color you want. Be very subtle, mess around with the opacity. You should be good to go. Okay, so that's it for now. So what you should be doing is just these top three. I'm going to get rid of these. These were just for examples. So yeah, so try to follow the video as best as you can. And don't forget to export all of your files. So go to File, Export, Export As, and use artboards and export as JPEGs. Okay, export. And you can do RGB, 10, baseline, 300 is fine. Medium's good too. And then press OK. You should be good to go. If you have any questions or concerns, please email me. And yeah, this one's a little tough. It's really easy in the beginning, but then once we get to these two, it's a little tough. So be very patient and experiment if you want to. I'm not going to be picky with how it looks because I understand gradients is really tough for a lot of people, especially if you have trouble with colors. Okay, everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye.